मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om peace, peace, peace. So for the meditation today, we are going to be helped by Malvika with a sitar. So while she sets up, we can get ready. Please sit relaxed and straight. Breathing normally, whole body relaxed. When you're comfortable, you can close your eyes gently. Breathing normally. Now, as we will hear the sound of the sitar, let us listen to it. Focus on the sound itself as it arises in your awareness, as it plays around in your awareness, and as it fades away. Do not think that there is someone outside who is playing the sitar and then I am listening to it. Just focus on the sound of it. Just on the sound. Notice how it arises and plays around in consciousness and fades away into consciousness. as we listen to the beautiful recital and it fades away into silence. Imagine if shape and color is added when we open our eyes, taste is added, fragrance is added, touch is added, and then there are thoughts, emotions, desires, memories, intellect. All of these, they form like a musical recital. This is what we call life, and all of it is being witnessed by this one consciousness. It arises like the notes of the sitar in one consciousness, plays around and disappears back again. If we are aware of ourselves as that one witness consciousness, then indeed all of life can be like a sitar recital. You can serenely witness the events of life just as you witness with absorption the notes of the sitar. All the phases of life, childhood, youth, middle age, old age, and eventually into the silence of death. Consciousness watches. And maybe then again another sitar recital, the next life. Consciousness is the same. As we gently open our eyes, look downwards at your lap first. I want us to appreciate how this practice passes into life. After all, what is the difference between what you are seeing now, right now? This is what you call life, life is going on, and what you were hearing just a little while ago. There's no difference really. You were witnessing sound arising and playing around and fading back. Similarly, to that has been added color and shape when you open the eyes. To that has been added touch, fragrance, taste. To that has been added various thoughts, memories, desires. To that has been added the activities of the body. And this is what we call life. Forgetting the witness consciousness, forgetting the I am ever shining, when I throw myself into it and become absorbed in it as an active ego involved in this life, it becomes samsara. If you listen to it, if you witness it like a sitar recital, then you are remaining in your sakshi nature. Even in the middle of activities, even while walking, talking, it's like a sitar recital. I was thinking, end of one sitar recital is the end of life, and the rising of maybe the next recital. So this is how we can experience life from an Advaiti perspective. Now, someone was asking, what is the need of it all, if you think about it? The need of it all is ananda. Initially, we all chase Vishaya Ananda, because we think that is the direct what we see all around in society, what we think immediately available to us. It's a pleasure, a sensory pleasure, what we try to grab in life through money and achievement and power and status and pleasure. And when that is not satisfactory, not fulfilling, ultimately still the question remains, is this all? Is there something beyond it? So we turn to spiritual life. Now imagine the joy of that. The joy of love of God. When all, Swami Vivekananda's words, when all of our 100-fold desires are taken and into one almighty love of God. How much joy is there? Love always generates joy, happiness for you. If you love anything or anybody, you get some joy. But when you love a person, Holy Mother said, if you love a human being, Manushke bhalabashle baba, Ma, I think he said. Dukkha bhave. If you love God and love all human beings, God in all human beings. So, how much the joy is when all the desires are taken and channelized towards your beloved Krishna or Ramakrishna or Kali or whichever form you worship God. How much love there is and how much joy there is. And then when that love is converted into service, when you see your beloved Krishna, Ramakrishna, or Kali, or Christ, or whoever, whichever devata, whichever form you are worshipping, you see that divinity in all living beings. And with the attitude, I do not want anything. Aham Purna, I am full. But my love is expressed in service of this humanity. Through education, through giving food to the hungry, education to the illiterate, medicine to the sick, spiritual knowledge to those who want it. This worship of the Vishwarupa, the cosmic form of your beloved Lord, whom you love so much, in all these ways you can love God by worshipping God. And then imagine the joy of blanking out the entire world, forgetting the entire world completely, and you are forgotten by the world, and you are alone within yourself, only you and your beloved Lord, in the depths of meditation, in the absolute silence and stillness of meditation. Imagine the joy of that. And the final joy of this utter oneness, final oneness of the universe, which is called Brahman here, and the final peace. This is the need. This is the need. That's the purpose. Swami Turiyananda used to say, they has to think. So Advaita Vedanta says we are already Brahman. All Advaita Vedanta texts will say we are already Brahman. Then what was really the need of taking a human form and going through all these life, going through all these, this is spiritual evolution and suffering so much? What's the need really? Ultimately, we can say we are in bondage and we are going towards liberation. But really, from the perspective of Brahman, what good is it? And then he said, I found the answer. That one verse says, to enjoy the joy of Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti, Sukha Prapti. That joy of Jivan Mukti, that need, that is the purpose of this cosmic game. God realization. That's why Swami Vivekananda, in simple words, Sri Ramakrishna has said it many times throughout the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that Bhagavan la Vishwa la Bhagavan la Jivore Uddeshya. Swami Vivekananda has put it in his famous definition of religion. The manifestation of the divinity within us. That is the goal of life. So, that is the need. That is the need, that is the ultimate purpose of it all. This is the Vedantic worldview. Why is there this cosmic play, this game of life and death? Many times, where is it taking us? And what's the use of that? That's the joy. That's the fulfillment. Great fulfillment, great joy. As we grow bigger and bigger in spiritual life. Alright. Now back to our text. Very important verse we did, number 8. I am not the body, I am not the prana, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not even that is not mentioned here, we have to add the final causal sheet, Anandamaya quotient. I am the witness self, Sakshi. I am, I shine. That is the witness self, Sakshi. And after that also, body and mind are there, life will also go on according to my past karma, but then there will be, after that realization, the life will be a life of Jivan Mukti, of freedom, while living in this body. Now, next, the author targets one specific source of confusion. The subtle source of confusion, when I say Atma, self, immediately what we find is, when we say I am not the body, not the mind, but what remains is the ego. The ego is where the final confusion lies. Pure consciousness and the reflected consciousness in the ego, they seem to be similar. The ego, what is this ego? In Vedanta, the ego is very much a part of the mind. The mind has multiple functions. Mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. The ego is that ahankar. Literally, I maker. Ahankar, the I sense. Now, what is the purpose of this ego? So, in Vedanta, each of these functions of the mind, they serve some purpose. So, ahankara, abhimanatmika antarkarana vritti. That movement of the mind, that function of the mind, which is of the nature of appropriation, abhimanatmika. Abhimanatmika means whatever is going on in the body-mind system, there has to be some unifying mechanism, some activity of the mind which unifies all of them. So there is, suppose, hearing and smelling and seeing, and there should be one activity in the mind which says, I hear, I am seeing, I am smelling, tasting, touching, I am thinking. All of the activities are integrated into one. Someone will unify all these activities, various activities going on in the mind, in the senses, in the prana, in the body, into one individual. It's basically a unifying mechanism. It's a mechanism only. In ego, it's a mechanism only. And repeat the definition. Abhimanatmika antarkarana vritti ahankara. So that function of the mind which appropriates, unifies, owns up everything going on here. So there is, suppose, a flash of anger in the mind. Instead of saying there is a flash of anger, what do we say? I am angry. What does the ego do? Whatever is happening in the body mind, the ego owns it. Says, I. This is my thought, my desire, my information, my memory. I am this person. It's just a function. So when I am talking, notice what I am saying? I am talking. I am sitting here. I am listening. The ego is just a movement in the mind. It cannot talk. It cannot listen. Just to talk, how much is going on? The lungs, the vocal mechanism, brain centers are working, the tongue is working. All of this work is going on. All being done by the poor tongue and the lungs and the voice box and the other parts of the brain. But all of it is grabbed by the ego, say, I am talking. You are not doing anything. The ego is just a ghost. If you look for it, you will never find it. What exactly is referred to the ego? It's something in the body mind which the ego possesses and says, I. And it is a necessary function. That makes us an individual. But it also leads to the tremendous confusion. It is the source of samsara. You are not really the ego. You are the witness of the ego. Just as you are not really the body. What is your relationship with the body? Consciousness is the witness of the body. Consciousness is the witness of the prana. Consciousness is the witness of the sensory system. Consciousness is the witness of the mind and intellect and ego. So you are not the ego. It is to shift the meaning of the word I from ego to witness. That is what Vedanta does. That's the first step of Vedanta. We are already in the first step of Vedanta. I'll repeat that. To shift the reference. You know what is the referent? So, if I use the word book, what does it refer to? What does the word book? The book is just a word. It's a sound. And it's a word in the dictionary. But what does it refer to? What's the meaning? What does it point to? It points to this thing. This object. If I say shirt, it's a word. What does it refer to? It points to this thing. Now if I say I, what does it refer to? Normally it refers to body, prana, mind, intellect, even the causal sheet. So what is just now it was referred to. We said, then we have to carefully peel it off. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. And then we find, I am the witness of all of these things. I am the consciousness to which all of these are appearing. You remember I referred to the 10th man story? Everybody here knows the 10th man story? You should. So don't be shy if you don't know. So you all know the 10th man story. Finally, the 10th man was the one who was counting and had forgotten to count himself. Here, the witness consciousness is the 10th man. And what is he counting? Counting body, prana, mind, intellect, the Anandamaya kosha, Pancha kosha, and never finding, looking for it itself in one of those five koshas, not finding it there. And there. It is not a kosha, it's not an object. This is the Atman itself, the witness consciousness. That turning, from there to oneself. So that is how you find yourself as the witness consciousness. So changing the referent of the meaning of I from Ahankara to Sakshi to Chaitanya, that is Vedanta. I mentioned this many times. The word I, vertical I, has three meanings. One meaning for us people, ordinary folk, and for the enlightened person, two meanings. So total three meanings. For us, when we say I, we automatically mean this one, this bundle of body mind, this panchakosha. This is what we mean by I. Nobody has to teach us, automatically we take it up. This body mind is I. Little children, babies, it's only at a certain age, I think psychologists have found out, 1 year or 2 years, they fix the I with this body mind. They have a sense of self and sort of localized with this body mind. But then, this is me. By looking at the mirror, they begin to identify the reflection in the mirror as me. Before that, they can't even do that. But when we say I, we refer to this body mind. The reference of the I should be shifted to witness consciousness. So this is the one meaning of I, which is there for unenlightened persons. And those who are enlightened, for them I has two meanings. One is the actual meaning of I, which is Atma, consciousness, Satchidananda. That is the primary meaning. Secondary meaning of I, for the enlightened ones, is this body mind. But they refer to this body mind as I for vyavaharika, for transactional purposes, in order to deal with us. But they really know this is not true. They really know this. We are trying to know it, but they really know that I am not this body mind. Sometimes they slip up and they point to the body mind as this. Sri Ramakrishna would sometimes say Ekankarjuna for this. And this is the feeling of any Jivan Mukta. Sri Ramakrishna is an avatar, but even Jivan Mukta also will have the feeling that this body is this, is an object. It's not me really. Even this personality is this. It's like a mask. By the way, personality means person means mask. Persona is a Greek word for mask. So three meanings altogether. Real meaning, Satchidananda. So if you press an enlightened person, really tell me what are you? So they'll have to admit I am Satchidananda or I am consciousness, not this body mind. Body mind is there. We have read the description of how Sri Ramakrishna is suffering from cancer, dying of cancer actually. Hari Maharaj comes and asks him, young boy at that time, Hari, asks him, how are you today, sir? And Sri Ramakrishna says, I can't eat anything. There's a tumor in the throat. It hurts here. Which is typically what a throat cancer patient would say. And then Hari Maharaj said, who was later Turiyanandaji, Hari. He said, but sir, I see that Anandaya, you are in great bliss. And Sri Ramakrishna agrees to that. He says, the rascal has found me out. The rascal has found me out. Now notice, two, the shifting of the referent of the I. How are you today? I can't eat, I am in pain. What is he referring to? This body and mind. But you are in great bliss, I see. Yes, that's true. What is he referring to? Satchidananda, Atma. For him it's a living reality, not theoretical. One day, Swami Shivanandaji, his president in Belur, my second president, in his old age suffered a lot from asthmatic attacks. So one night he couldn't sleep at all from asthmatic attacks. And the next morning, President, all the monks will come every day in the morning and bow down in the river. It's a tradition. So the monks had heard that he had suffered all night. Somebody asked him, "Sir, how are you today? Maharaj, how are you today?" He said, "Oh, I'm fine. Then they said, "You're fine, but we heard that you suffered so much last night." Then as if a great realization is dawning on him, Mahapurush Maharaj said, "Oh, you mean this body? Not good at all. He has to be reminded of the condition. Then he can check, yes, this body not in a good condition. It's not at all in a good condition." Another thing, Swami Turiyananda ji, there is a book, Jivan Mukti Sukha Prapti, Reminiscences of Swami Turiyananda in Bengali. Everything has been translated into English. Very nice collection. In that, he says, Swami Turiyananda ji says, that when Swami Vivekananda said I, he referred to the all, the one existence consciousness place. He referred to Brahman. Naturally for Swami Vivekananda, I meant Brahman, not this body mind. Then he says, Amader Auto Ashana. For us, it does not come so easily. That's why we say thou, you, to me. That I am Brahman does not come naturally to us. Who is saying this? Swami Turiyananda. Staunch Vedanta. Whole life he has tried. Aham Brahmasmi. But he is saying it does not come naturally for the rest of us. As our representative will say. That's why we say thou, God, Ishwar, Bhagavan, Mother. He would say Mother, Ma. But Swami Vivekananda was totally identified with that and would say I. When he said I, he meant Satchidananda. So the referent of the I. And Hanuman put it best. When Ramchandra asked him, what do you think of me? Jiva Buddhya, Deha Buddhya, Dasoham. Jiva Buddhya, Tvalam Shaka. Atma Buddhya, Tvamevaham, iti me nishchitamati. So look at the referent. As a body, this one, then the best mode is to be Dasoham. I am your servant. You are the Lord, I am your servant. And as a Jiva, sentient being, consciousness with body mind. This consciousness with the subtle body actually, which is in this body now, but if they want to go to another body and go to another body in the past life, that Jiva. I am your Anksha. You are the whole, I am your part. And then finally, Atma Buddhi, as the self, as the pure self. As really, if you press me, who am I? I and you are one. He is telling Ramchandra. Who is telling Hanuman? Which one is right? He says all of them are right. But depending on the perspective, where you are standing. One sadhu put it nicely. आप कहाँ बैठे हो महात्मा जी पहले दिन? Where are you sitting? Are you sitting in the body? Are you sitting in the mind? Or sitting in the atma? Sitting in the body, best to be servant of the Lord. Sitting as the jiva, best to see yourself as part of the Lord or child of the Lord. You are my father or mother, and I am your child. Or as witness consciousness, I am Brahman or one. So this is the referent of the I. Now in the next verse, he is targeting this confusion. We generally think of ourselves as the ego. And the ego, the problem is ego, the function of the ego is to integrate body mind. So ego is always connected with the mind and body. The moment I think of myself as ego, what happens to the mind will be what is happening to me. What happens to the body is what is happening to me. And the personality is I. Because that is the function of the ego. What will the poor ego do? Ego is meant to integrate all this. So moment we sit in the ego, I am all this. And samsara will become samsara. In this world, after death, again a new Sita cycle will start. So, you must see yourself as not the ego but witness of the ego. Let the ego remain. As if it is waiting for our permission. It will remain. Sri Ramakrishna says, Thakshala dasam. Let the rascal remain as the servant I or the devotee I. He says, the ego will not go away. It will remain. Even after you realize your Satchidananda, the ego will again come up. But let it remain as the child of the Divine Mother, as the devotee of God, as the servant of God. Or you can even say, identify it with Aninitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, I am the pure consciousness. That also you can do. You can change the referent of the I to pure consciousness. Number 9. This is what he is doing. He is telling us to be careful of the ego. Sakshi Sarvan Vitapreyan. Sakshi Sarvan Vitapreyan. Aham Naham Kadachana. Aham Naham Kadachana. Parinama Paricheda. Parinama Paricheda. Paritape Rupaplavat. Paritape Rupaplavat. I am the witness, all pervading and beloved, never the limited I, afflicted as it is with change, limitation, and suffering. He is distinguishing witness consciousness from ego. What is he saying? Aham naham kadachana. Look at that, it's a simple and beautiful play of words. Aham naham kadachana. I am not I, ever. It's paradoxical. I am not I. We are searching for who am I. You should be careful. There is one pretender, fraud, who will put forward itself as the candidate. You want to know who am I? This is who am I. This is the answer. Who is that? Ego. I. You want to know who am I? I am I. So I am not I. Aham naham kadachana. Have you noticed when Shankaracharya sings the first line of Nibbana Shatakam, what does he say? Mano buddhi chittani, mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. Notice, I am not the mind, I am not the chitta, this memory, I am not the intellect, fine. But ahankara na aham. In the first line itself, literally it means I am not I, or more precisely, I am not the ego. How paradoxical, I am not I. Only after you do that, do you have the right to say Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. The ego should not be confused with Brahman. It is not. It's a function of the mind. He will spend 3 verses distinguishing you, the real you, from the ego. He will show that you cannot be the ego. You are different from the ego. The ego is what we call Ghor Samsara. It is always perpetually in Samsara. He says, look at the ego, Parinama. It is constantly transforming from waking to dreaming to deep sleep. It is connected with the body-mind. From the body goes through babyhood and childhood and youth and middle age. The ego will also feel itself transformed by that. Have you changed? It's no use saying that body has changed, you have not changed. You feel you have changed. Who is that? Ego. Peaceful mind, an angry mind. You don't feel like saying, I am the witness of the peace of the mind, I am the consciousness in which the anger is playing. You don't say that. You say, I am angry. I was so peaceful. Now I am so angry. You feel, I have changed. You feel that I have changed. You have not changed. The ego gets associated, colored by the changes so much, it feels like changing. It's like it's changing all the time. Parinam, changing. And every day, waking goes away. Whole sense of this waking personality goes away. A new dream personality comes up. These egos are different. When you wake up from the dream, what do you say? In the dream, I was undergoing so many experiences. I was running to catch a train and the train was pulling away from the station. When I woke up from that nightmare and I found I was sleeping in the bed, I was alright. The ego sleeping who is there, who recognizes I am sleeping in the bed, and the ego who was running to catch the train, 2 different egos. And changing all the time. And in deep sleep, what happens? Ego disappears. That fellow is just gone. That's why from the perspective of deep sleep, it seems to be nothing to us. To who feels it's nothing in deep sleep? Ego. For ego, it is nothing. Blank. So, Parinam, Paricheda. It is cut up into limitations. Each ego is separate from the other. How many of us are here? As many are here, so many egos are there. In each body, each mind, there is one separate ego. But witness consciousness is not separate. It is one consciousness shining in all beings. So, Paricheda, ego is cut up into limitations. There are many egos. But witness consciousness is one. Paritapa, suffering, dukkham, sarvam dukkham. The ego is constantly afflicted, chasing a few fleeting happinesses and constantly afflicted by fear, anxiety, especially old age. Shankaracharya bemoans this fact. And nobody is interested. You are Brahman, Satchidananda, pure consciousness. Nobody is interested. Why? Balastavat krida sakta, tarunastavat taruni rakta, vriddhastavat chintamagna, parame brahmani kopi nalagna. In Param Brahman, Satchidananda Brahman, the most important thing in our lives, that which makes all our lives possible. And that which can give us limitless peace, happiness permanently. Nobody is interested. In childhood, interested in toy. What is it? Xbox. If you have got grandchildren, little kids in the house, you know. Video game, Xbox. And in youth, boyfriend, girlfriend, relationships. And in old age, anxiety. Only anxiety. Health anxiety. In America, if you have no insurance, then health anxiety. If you have insurance, then insurance anxiety. What anxiety? Once I was in the hospital next to me. My problem was a minor problem comparatively. And the person, terminal cancer, the old lady, she was sitting next to me. They had hooked her up to the IV, but they will not start the chemotherapy. Why? Until insurance says okay. She is sitting there next to me. She is frail, she has come with a lot of difficulty. They are even hooked up with the needle in her arm, but yet the phone call has come. Why till last moment they leave it? I don't know. Tension or excitement or what, I don't know. You may get the medicine, you may not get the medicine. Finally, doctor comes, opens the door and says, so they didn't switch on. What is this? Anxiety. All sorts of anxiety. Vriddhastavas, chinta, parame brahmani kopi nalagna. What about your Satchidananda Brahman? Nobody is interested. Sri Ramakrishna used to say people cry buckets of tears, for their spouse, for their children and money. Nobody sheds a teardrop for my divine mother, for God. When people say you are mad, he says, I prefer to be mad. I am mad, yes, I am mad about God. People are mad about Samsara, I prefer to be mad about God. Revered Swami Suhitanji once told me that this happened a number of times with Swami Premeshananji, whom he served in his old age. Swami Premeshananji was a disciple of the Holy Mother, and in his lifetime itself, many of the monks they regarded him highly as an enlightened person. In his old age, he was very sick, and Suhitanji would nurse him. So he would sometimes call Suhitanji. Suhitanji was a brahmachari. Sanatan, come here. I've got something to tell you. He knew what he was going to tell. They heard so many times, old person, whether Brahmagyani or not, same thing physically. So he says, Maharaj, please some Maharaj tell. They know this, the others will hear. No, there's nobody will hear. You tell. Nobody says, no, this is a great secret. Yes, Maharaj, tell, what is the secret? Sri Ramakrishna is an avatar. He's come in this world as avatar. Yes, Maharaj, I know. Oh, you know? Yes, Maharaj. Everybody knows. Yes, everybody knows. And nobody cares. See, for us, it's some nice thing we are reading in a book. For them, it's a living reality. Actually, this is God. Yeah? Teenagers will say in America, OMG. Oh my God. They will not say oh my God, OMG. So, nobody cares. Paritapa. The ego is forever afflicted by so many problems. Dukkha, sarvam dukkha. In comparison, Sakshi is contrasting. Triple comparison. Sakshi, pure consciousness is Sakshi. Witness consciousness all the time. I am, I shine. Aham asmi sada bhami. He says Sakshi. Ego changing all the time. Parinama. So compare Sakshi with Parinama. You see those two words? The next compare Sarvanvita with Paricheda. Same consciousness in all beings. Krishna says, Kshetrajyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So in all beings I have the same consciousness. And again, Prayam, it is the source of all bliss and happiness. Whereas the ego is just miserable little creature. All the time unhappy. All the time grumbling, complaining. You see, if you shift the referent of the I from the ego to the witness consciousness, one thing you will lose is the right to grumble. You cannot complain anymore. If you think I am enlightened, I have understood Vedanta, then you cannot complain anymore. You have lost the right to complain. What should Brahman complain about? Never grumble. So, Prayam, whereas ego is Paritapa. Paritape, Upaplava, is always turbulent with all sorts of problems. Therefore, Aham Naham Kadachana, I am not I. You want to do one ego-location, like ego-location is there. Have you heard of ego-location? Ego-location?
Yeah.
Yeah?
ECHU?
ECHU?
Yeah, it's a technique to
Bats use it for location. Submarine
bats use it.
For navigation.
Bats used for location,
Submarines.
and submarines use sonar for location. So ego-location, but we will do an ego-location now. Want to do the exercise?
Yes.
Alright. This was suggested by Greg Good, who is a psychologist working in New York. He just retired, but he's also a Vedantist, and he started his spiritual life with Swami Adishwarananda in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center in New York many years ago. He gave a talk in our Vedanta Society of New York recently, which will be uploaded soon, I hope. So he has devised this exercise. Ego location. He did not give it this name, but I am giving it the name. Ego location. We will try to find out where is the ego. Now, sit, relax. I am going to ask us to locate, actually physically locate where you feel the I, vertical I, ego. Where are you in this body? Yes, body definitely, but where in the body? Now, first, you don't have to close your eyes. Imagine a line drawn through your waist, a horizontal line. Now, are you, if I press you to say, tell me one, are you below that line or above that line? Where would you say? In the body, yes, you are in the body, but below that, are you in the knee or above that?
Above.
Everybody will say, if you want me to give a location, give me above. Now, draw another line through the chest like this, not vertical, horizontal. Now, the ego, the I, sense of I, where are you? Don't even think of ego, just I. Where are you? Is it below that line, somewhere in the stomach, or above that line, somewhere in the chest, or above? So, is it above the line? Most of us will feel, I am above. If I want to look at, I am above. Some will say here, some will say here, or here. Now, draw another line mentally through the neck. Again, horizontal. Am I below this or above this? Some will say I feel myself in chest. Many will say I feel myself in the head somewhere. Some will say between the chest or the head. Doesn't matter, wherever it is. It's very natural to say that we feel ourselves in the head. Why? Because physiologically, lot of our nerve endings are here. The face is very sensitive. So many of our sense organs are here, ears and nose and tongue and lips and eyes, sense of touch. It's very sensitive the area is. And of course we have been reading how the brain is the seat of consciousness. So intellectually also we feel we must be somewhere here. So there is generally a feeling that I am here, somewhere here. Alright. Now draw two vertical lines mentally. One through this side of the head, one through this side of the head. Actually try to feel it. Now if I force you to say, are you here or in between somewhere?
In between.
Many of you will feel I am in between. Wherever you feel. Now wherever you feel the I most logically, most psychologically also you feel I am there. If you are forced to say, choose one area, then I feel somewhere here. Just behind the eyes, you feel I am there. You are not, but you feel that. Psychologically, you feel you are there. Now, let me ask this question. You feel you are there. What is it that feels or knows that you are here? What is it that senses, feels, knows, thinks, senses that I am here? To what is it appearing? This I here. To awareness. That awareness is the real I, and the I which you are locating is the ego. Ego location. First start with the question, where are you? And then you will get some location, some kind of feeling. But that location means it's a location appearing to something else. That something else, which is not an object, which cannot be located, is the witness consciousness. And never try to grasp it objectively. You cannot. If you force it, you will generate illusions. But you are that. And the ego is what feels to be somewhere in this body. Therefore, now you can say from that perspective, aham, naham, kadachana, like Lakshmidhar Kavi said. Or you can say like Shankaracharya, ahankar, manobuddhi ahankar, chittani naham, ahankar naham. Then that one, it is true, chidananda rupa shivo. Alright. We have more or less gone beyond. We have to finish time until it's time for Q&A. Let me. Can everybody Q&A please? Would you like to do some Q&A or should I go ahead? Let me just tell you. Go ahead. Let's go. Then in the next session we can do Q&A. All right. Now in the next 3 verses, what he will do is he's bringing out the most powerful method of Atma Anatma Vichara. This inquiry into self, not self. Who am I and what I am not? What am I and what I am not? This distinction. There are many methods in Vedanta. One he has already shown us, Panchakosha Viveka, which we did in the 8th verse. Now in the 10th verse, 9th verse, he made a point that you are not the ego. Don't be confused. 10th verse, he is point. Now he is going to use 10, 11, 12. He will bring out the Brahmastra, most powerful method, Avasthatraya. The waking, dreaming, deep sleep method from Mandukya Upanishad. And using that, he will show we are not body mind, we are not even the ego. Using that. And he will clarify also what is waking, dreaming, what is the difference between ego and pure consciousness in terms of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, all of these in fact. Very nice few verses. Again, very deft presentation. A lot of people are coming, people are looking at the tea is coming up. Reality. Number 10. Supte ahamina drishyante. Supte ahamina drishyante. Dukkha-dosha pravrittayah. Dukkha-dosha pravrittayah. Atastasyaiva samsaro. Atastasyaiva samsaro. Name samsartri sakshinah. Name samsartri sakshinah. In deep sleep, notice ego vanishes. You have no experience of the world, no experience of the body, no dreams, no ego also. Nobody is there saying, I am now in deep sleep. No. If you say that, that's ego, and you are not in deep sleep. So, ego vanishes. So, it is supte ahami, when the ego has fallen asleep. Then what happens? Nadrishyante dukkha dosha pravittayah. Samsara is giving it a description. Dukkha dosha pravritti. All kinds of activities attended with defects, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, and resulting in suffering only. That is samsara. Dukkha dosha pravritti. Nadrishyante. In deep sleep, none of it is there. There is no suffering in deep sleep, no activity in deep sleep, no defect also in deep sleep. When the ego has disappeared. So in deep sleep, 2 things disappear. Ego disappears, samsara disappears. Huh? Then he says, Atastasyeva samsara. Samsara belongs to that rascal ego. The ego is the samsari. I am not samsari. Then who are you? Me name samsartri sakshinaha. I am the witness of the ego. I am the witness of the samsara. Which we just experienced This experiment which we did, ego location, you are the witness of the ego. And that is, the ego is which does everything in this world. Good things also, it comes for Vedanta classes. But also bad things. And it suffers in the world. That one, you are the witness of that. Samsara, the one which goes through samsara, the life cycle of life and death. Sakshi, witness. I am the witness of the samsara. Who is the samsara? The ego. It is born and it dies, it is born again. It awakes, it dreams, it sleeps. It tries to enjoy, it mostly suffers. And that is samsara. I am not that. It is playing in my light. It is pretending to be me. Big fraud. But it's not there. It's just like a ghost. And it's a necessary function of the mind, that's all. So, I am the witness of that. So, he says, in deep sleep, world disappears, samsara disappears, ego disappears. When the ego becomes active in dream and in waking, samsara reappears. So, to whom does samsara belong? To ego, not to me. If you make, when I studied this, I made 4 rows. So, one is avastha, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. The other one is ahankara, ego. The other one is sakshi. Another one is samsara. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Ego is there or not? In waking, ego is there. In waking, sakshi is there or not? Sakshi is there. In waking, samsara is there or not? Samsara is there. Now, in dreaming, ego is there or not? Yes, ego is there. Sakshi is there or not? Sakshi is there. Samsara is there or not? Something is happening in dreaming. Yes. In deep sleep, ego is there or not? No. Sakshi is there or not? Yes. Samsara is there or not? No. So Sakshi is there all throughout. Sarvan Vitaha, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Ego is there in waking and dreaming, absent in deep sleep. And the chart will show you. I get ticks and crosses. So samsara is there in waking and dreaming, but not in deep sleep. Therefore, samsara belongs to the rascal ego, but not to me, the witness of the ego. It is the ego which goes through samsara, ego which goes through life and death. And ego which finally disappears, I realize that I am the sakshi, not the ego. That is mukti. That is moksha. Sakshi is always free. Name samsara sakshya. Even when the ego is there and its samsara is there, for me sakshi, I am the witness. It is not mine. We will see what he says next. Is part of the mind. Mind, no. Consciousness illumines all of them. First step, we are separating consciousness from everything. Word, body, mind. We just did that in the 8th verse. Physical body, pranic body, mental body. So all of it is we are separating consciousness. We are seeing consciousness, the witness of all of that. But ego is part of the mind. We just saw the difference between consciousness and ego. Ego is changeful, parinam. Ego is cut off from each other, paricheda. Ego is full of suffering, paritapa. Where sakshi is, consciousness is sakshi, unchanging consciousness. Same in all beings, sarvanvita, and not subject, and it is priya, it is source of all bliss, So, witness consciousness and ego is different. Ego is the one which is saying I. And witness consciousness is the one illuminating. You know what's the relationship? They are very close. You know what's the relationship? It's like the relationship between sunlight and moonlight. Moonlight is also light, but it's entirely borrowed from the sun. So the ego, the mind, acts as the moon, which reflects the collected sunlight back on the earth. Earth is the objects, what we experience. Now, at night it seems we experience everything by moonlight. And that's what's happening in samsara. Everything is being experienced by me through all the senses and but all the moonlight is basically sunlight. So all the consciousness and the which I am deploying to enjoy this world or suffer in this world, it actually is all borrowed from Sakshi. Sakshi alone is shining. I alone am shining. That shining, everything else shines. What shines? What is that everything else? Ego is one of them. It shines. That fellow also shines with borrowed light. By its light, everything is lit up. By the light of consciousness, ego is also lit up. Mind is lit up. Senses are lit up. And then the world is lit up. Now tea will be lit up.
Say Swami.
Yes.